Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. How are you all doing? I've got the chat open here. I can see we've got our regulars. Great to see you, and some new names as well. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. That's not a very nice map that I have down there, is it? Let me just change that quickly. Sorry, I've only just realised. I've been so busy setting up everything. Let's just put that down there. That's prettier, isn't it? There we go. Okay, so yes, I'm glad that you guys are all good and alive, and hopefully noticing some spelling has changed. There we go. We've got some ideas. Karibu nzuri na ngumu kutoka kwa nyumba wa sanaa ya karanga. And to you too, Lance Pickett. That was my interpretation of Swahili, although I would imagine Karibu nguzi na nguma kutoka kwa nyumba. I would imagine there'd be more clicks in there. Anyway, nice to see you all here, and yes, let's see how we go. Wait, what? No, it's not spelt David A. It's not sorcerer. It is sorcerer one. Oh my! I can't win. I cannot win. Brian, how are you doing? How's life in Hong Kong?
Doing very good, very good.
Can't win. You know. You try anyway. All right, we've got our one-on-one session happening now, and at the end of that, it's only an hour long, unfortunately. At the end of that, we say goodbye to Brian, and then I do a very brief. Today it will be a brief review on how the session went. So there we are. Arthur Rocher says, I'm new here. What's this? D&D? We are playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and it's a one-on-one game. So Brian has his wonderful character, Bindaraj Singh, a Tabaxi sorcerer, who has had some rough times recently. Some very... very rough time. Popcorn is good, but it will get soggy, says Grizzles. I think so. When last we were with young Raj, do you want to give us a brief recap, Brian, on what happened?
Yes. So last week, Raj was figuring out the direction that the ship was heading in, and found out to his surprise that he was not heading where he had originally hired the ship to go. But to a pleasant surprise, he was offered a mission to go and liberate a gem from another city. And being a businessman, he thought this would be a good maneuver. But then they came across one ship next to a warship next to a hole in the water. But not wanting to get caught up in that, they moved on, only to see as they were leaving, that ship was having some problems. And then a few days later, they saw the same ship again, and it was destroyed by some large tentacles, which proceeded to attack our ship, which left Raj in the middle of the water on the end of our last episode.
That is indeed true. And that is where we will join young Raj again. The ocean grips the poor Tabaxi as he is plunged into darkness. That massive tentacle rising up out of the water. The threat of death. And yet, it is darkness that instead embraces young Raj. And it feels as if it's a moment later when you wake up, Raj. Very, very, very stiff, warm, but stiff. Your leg feels as if it weighs a ton. Your right leg feels very, very heavy, and it's almost impossible to move. But that's the sensations you feel. Your eyes are still shut. That's the sensation you feel as you wake up. There is the distant sound of the ocean and a rather unusual aroma. You think it's lavender. It's quite heavy in the air, but that's it. And you're lying on a soft something.
Okay. Let's try and open up my eyes and see what's going on around me.
As you open your eyes, I have my dice right here. As you open your eyes, there is a faint snoring sound coming from a person sitting next to you. You are in a very, very simple, I don't want to say cell. Cell is the wrong word. Oops, let me get that out of the way. It's not a cell. It's more like a room, a very, very small room, which I will reveal to you now. There we go. Like I said, it's a very small room, and that's what you're seeing. Yeah. And next to you, let me put you there quickly. Next to you is this rather gaunt-looking figure of he probably is human. You think he's human anyway. Anyway, and he's wearing some very simple white flowing robes. Doesn't seem particularly aggressive. He's snoring quite badly, but that's what you see sitting next to you. Maybe he's in his 80s. Maybe he's in his 90s. Fairly old individual. But yes, he's not aware of you having woken up at all. You look down, you're on a cot of some kind. It's fairly simply made. The reason why it's soft is that they've put a bit of a mattress underneath you, although it's a rather old mattress, and the blanket that's over you is decently made and is fairly warm, but you realize that your leg has got, it looks like wood and plaster all over it, your right leg, and that's why it's so heavy and difficult to move.
I feel around to see if I still have my possessions, my purses around my waist.
A cursory glance reveals that all of your equipment has been placed, it looks like anyway, in a very small chest, which he frantically added to the map. There's a small box near the base of your bed, and it looks as if all of your equipment is in there.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not locked either. It's just left as is.
Am I able to stand up and walk on this leg?
You try and sit up, and I need you to give me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
As you try and sit up.
Wonderful rolls to begin with. A 7.
Let's get those rolls out of the way quickly. With a 7, there is a blinding pain that lances up your leg, causing you to perhaps make a peep. This rouses the individual who is next to you, and he wearily sort of looks at you and smiles, and he says, well, first let me ask you, do you speak Elvish? I think you do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. He says to you in Elvish, "Oh, you're awake. That is excellent. My name is Zill. You may call me Zill, as a matter of fact. Don't be alarmed. You're not a slave, and you're not a prisoner. You are, unfortunately, late." There is Zill. You are, unfortunately, late for a meal, so they probably won't give you one, actually.
I see. Thank you very much, good sir. So you have rescued me?
Well, in a manner of speaking, you see, you washed up on our beach about a week ago, as a matter of fact, and you've been, well, in the state you've been ever since.
I see. Were there any other people who washed up on the beach with me?
I'm afraid we scoured the beach. There were many that washed up, but you were the only one who still was breathing.
Oh, I
The rest looked
see.
to be warriors and sailors and that sort. There was some ghastly business happening out in the ocean. We couldn't really see, but yes, that's what we saw.
So, tell me, Zil, what is this place?
Oh well, one might say the spheres move in mysterious ways. He gives you a wry smile. This happens to be a temple to the life cult. Rather appropriate for you, I'd say. Bit of luck there.
Hmm. Oh, that is very lucky, for I am also a follower of life. Ah,
Oh, well, then, I shall tell the abbot. He'll be particularly excited to hear that. He does love those kinds of stories. Um,
hmm.
yes, so,
Has any magical healing been performed on my leg here?
oh, this is a temple of life, young Raj. I don't want to be presumptuous, but you're obviously not from Utherias's life circles.
Yes, I do come from a place far, far away from here.
Oh, well, yes, obviously. I mean, that would explain the ship, wouldn't it? I mean, that sort of makes sense.
Mm, yeah.
By your accent, I'm going to guess maybe that you're from uh, Tuawandari?
Tuandari. No, I have not heard from that. I am from a place called Vashti.
Yeah, that would have been my fifth guess. But yes, all right, well, fantastic. No, the Temple of Life. We unfortunately believe that you see, the thing is, you have to experience life, and that means no magical intervention or any kind whatsoever.
Okay, that is fair enough. Yes.
Yes.
So
How is
life
your
is
experience going so far?
very exciting. Yes.
You see, it
Uh,
does make life much more interesting, doesn't it? Well, I'm
mm,
sure you must be hungry, and I'm definitely certain that the abbot will have many questions.
mm,
Raj,
okay.
uh, well, um, I have to ask you a very personal question, if you don't mind.
Uh, okay. Since you have saved my life, I suppose I can give you that at least.
Well, there's a start. Um, I, when you said you were a worshipper of the life cult, were you just saying that to ingratiate yourself, or are you actually a worshipper of the life cult?
Oh, I was raised in the life cult all of my life.
Ah,
Yes.
well, then that's absolutely fine.
Mm.
Yes. Right. Well, good. I will tell the abbot, and your possessions are all there, all accounted for.
Mm.
What we could salvage, we assumed was yours, and you were the captain of the ship that sank, or one of the ships. We're not sure how many actually went down.
Mm. There were many ships.
So it seemed, yes. Well, we gathered all the
Oh,
possessions that we found on the beach, and I assume they're yours. So we put them all in there, and yes. So right, those he points to some sticks that look like they've been fashioned into walking sticks. Should help you be able to get around a bit more. Um, if you so, I won't be long though. I'll be back.
okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Zill opens the door and disappears. What you do?
With him gone,
Yeah.
um, I'm going to cast Cure Light Wounds on my healing spell on myself. Uh,
Okay.
cure, cure Wounds to see if that heals my leg. Although I will continue to pretend that my leg is not healed, but just in case I need to move quickly, I'd prefer to have a working leg.
You cast it. Do your healing.
Okay. So that's 4 hit points back.
Nice. You haven't had much time. You cast the spell. You do feel the pain disappearing magically as it does. There is still the question of the cast actually still being affixed to your leg, which when you sort of give it some tentative pressure, it will hold. It's just going to slow you down. You won't be doing any tap dancing anytime soon.
Okay. No, I want to keep appearances for the time being.
All right.
So, yeah, get up and try the crutches. See how it feels to walk around on them.
Yeah, not a problem at all. It's very easy, as a matter of fact, to move around.
Are there any windows in this room?
There is a very small window, a very narrow little. It's an arrow slit more than anything else. It doesn't look particularly divine to you, but then this entire structure looks very well built. If you look out of it, you look out over. Well, to be frank, over a large space. Let me show you. It's dark outside, but it just looks like a large pit below you. You can see the opposite wall, so you know that there's definitely something there, but it just goes down into darkness at the moment. It is evening outside, you can see, but yeah, that's what you're seeing.
Okay. Is the door locked or?
You try the door. It is definitely not locked. That opens out into a small corridor. Let me just move all the PC bits and pieces. You open it up. It's a small corridor leading off on either direction, either side, with some more doors. And yeah, that's it. That's it. You can hear running feet. Every now and again, some shouting. Someone's being very gruff down to your right hand side. There's a little doorway that's open. Sounds like there's splashing water going on, but yes, and someone doesn't seem to be particularly happy with that splashing water going on, but there doesn't seem to be anything they can do about it. Yeah.
Okay. So does let's see, the hallway ends at the left there?
Yes, it's doors everywhere. So there's a door to there's 3 doors down, one opposite, and then one to your right.
Okay. Just walk into the hallway and peep into the couple of open doors just to see.
Sure. It looks like they're more of the same sort of cells as you go along. This door to the right, as you get to the far end of the corridor, that door won't open. It's locked.
Okay.
It does have a rather neat little wooden placard next to it, however, and it simply says storage.
Okay. How about the back the other direction?
You hobble back, click, 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 towards the splashing sound.
Yeah.
All right. You hobble back towards the splashing sound, and let me see there. There is. Let me just put this title in here for him. You see a very angry, very, very upset individual, naked, standing in a large pool of water. The water comes up to his waist, and standing next to him, dressed in the same robes as Zil, is a priest named Arax. Well, you don't know that yet, but Arax is standing there holding what looks to be chainmail and a very large mace and a shield, and basically what is happening is this individual standing in the middle of this pool, this satyr, is busy shouting, "How long must I stay in this infernal water? It's cold." To which the monk indicates, "It is a cleansing ritual, I'm afraid. It sort of has to take as long as it takes to get you clean." Neither of them notice you.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Are there any other doors in this room?
There is a door off of the southern wall at the far end, opposite the pond, if you could call it that. You do hear footsteps approaching from the far end of the corridor behind you.
Okay. I'll hobble back into my room for now.
Sure thing. A few moments later, Zill comes running around the corner. "Oh, good. You've got the sticks. Excellent. Wonderful. So the abbot wants to see you straight away. He says it's very important to see you, actually, given what you said to me. So would you come with me to the main chapel?"
Yes,
it's
please.
Not a far
Lead the way. Lead the way, please.
Excellent. Good. Just something to know about the abbot. He's a little bit hard of hearing, so you might need to speak up a little bit, if that's all right.
Okay. I can do that.
Good. He leads you down the corridor back towards the door that you were investigating, and he swings open these main doors directly in front of you, and the chamber beyond is absolutely magnificent in its scale. It's quite a long room with great big columns extending off up into the ceiling, quite beautifully frescoed as well. Lots of ancient artwork on the walls of various races doing all kinds of weird and wonderful things. It looks as if there was some kind of battle that took place, and it's so much to take in. It's almost impossible because it extends from the floor up onto the ceiling and all the way back round again. And again, very small little windows out the far end of the structure, but that's about it. Stepping forward from a side door is he calls himself the abbot, and Zill, he's definitely human, and he comes hobbling forward and looks at you. "I'm Abbot Wraith. What's your name?"
Greetings. My name is Raj.
He sort of cocks his head to one side. "Did you say your name is Rat?"
Raj.
"Raj. Right, Raj. I'm Abbot Wraith. Welcome to the Temple of Life, if you can call it that."
What do you mean, my good sir?
He looks to Zill. He looks back to himself. "I think we have a few decades on you, young Raj. Now, what do you plan to do exactly?"
Well, I was originally on a ship going to Portios, but we were waylaid, and well, as you see now, there is nothing left of my ship.
"I see. Right. And what will you do now?"
Once I am able, I would like to resume my journey. Once I am able to walk, once I have properly experienced this part of my life and its healing properties.
You can see his old eyes light up with a twinkle. "So it is true. You do worship the life cult."
Yes, good sir. I was raised by that. My grandmother taught me all of the ways, yes.
This makes me very happy to hear, Raj. Right. Zill, how long do you think he's going to have to stay here for? Zill looks to you. Give me an insight check, if you please, as Zill turns back to the abbot.
That'll be a 9.
A 9. I think it's probably at least a month, Abbot, that you'll have to stay with us to make sure everything is healed up properly. Absolutely, yes.
Oh,
In that case, then, young Raj, I'm afraid we'll have to say at least 2 months. 1 month would be cutting it too fine on your recovery. Yes?
I see, but I'm much younger than you. Perhaps I could heal faster.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. What do you know about trade?
Well, my family are merchants. We do quite a bit in the jewelry business and work especially with gems. That is why I was on my way to Portios.
What do you know about the slave trade, young Raj?
That I have no experience with.
Would you say you have no experience with the slave trade because you are an innocent?
Yes, I think you could say that, yes.
In that case, then, yes, definitely 2 months you should stay here, and don't you fear, we will cover all the costs of your recovery whilst you are here, young Raj. Once you are healed up, you are free to travel on, although I fear you might find that a little bit difficult, I'm afraid.
And why is that?
Well, Zil, you tell him. Zil looks at you and looks very nervously at the abbot and sort of looks at the floor. I probably forgot to tell you where we are. You do know where we are, don't you?
No, I do not.
Well, that would probably account for why you don't know why you're going to be here for a little bit of time. There's a section of land on the coast of Etherios. You're in Etherios, don't worry. And there's a section of coastline in Etherios known as the refuge of Hecaius. Have you heard of that? You can give me a history check if you like.
Would be in order.
Absolutely.
No, a 4 tells me I know nothing about that.
Yeah, he reads your face. The refuge of Hecaius was so named because Hecaius was a rather how can we put it? Well, Hecaius experienced a lot of life when he was alive, and he made sure to bring about a lot of new lives as well, with quite a lot of the nobles' wives and daughters when he was alive. And it got to a point where they decided that he should probably account for all of the life he was helping to make in the world. And so he may have been chased for quite some time by most of the nobles of this great and wonderful land that we live in. But sadly, he eventually found a place where people couldn't really get to him. And he sort of took refuge there, if you take my meaning.
I see. So this would be his resting place?
You've got to hand it. You certainly are smart, Raj. Very, very smart. What Zil is trying to say is this fornicator went and found some lonely spot on the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere and built this place as a sort of last stand to prevent himself from being arrested and taken back to face counts of numerous polygamy, and there was all sorts of things going on. Nonetheless, that was a long, long, long time ago. We are still not very far away. Now, once your leg is recovered, the walk, you can get to Naposti, no difficulty whatsoever. It's merely 120 miles away on the other side of the mountains. Not too difficult a journey to make it all. Or you could go to Hytos in the south, Nexi, sorry, in the south. And that's just crossing 3 gigantic rivers, which is equally difficult to do. But nonetheless, I'm sure you'll be fine. But that's the future, Raj. That's the future. We don't have to worry about that. No, for now, I think, Zil, give the man a tour of his new home. Your home is our home. What do they say down in where did you say you're from again, Raj?
I am from Vashti.
Oh, that's right. What do they say down in Vashti? My temple is your temple, or something like that. Anyway, nonetheless, you're part of us now, Raj. Don't you worry. Right, Zil, show him around, and you'll find me somewhere.
All right. Thank you so much for your hospitality.
Don't mention it. Don't mention it at all. It really is our pleasure, young Raj. Now, I will be in my chamber if anyone needs me, he says as he hobbles off to his chamber. Zil looks at you. Right. Well, where would you like to go?
Please show me around. What is there to know about this place? You said something about an evening meal. Would it be too late to maybe get a bite to eat?
No. Second floor, not a problem. We'll take it there. Yes. So I'll do that. And so that is exactly what he does. I'm going to switch to full map mode here so you can see what's going on as we pull back the curtain on your new accommodations. Zil doesn't hold back very much. He's pretty good at explaining what's going on as you make your way around the temple itself. It was, as the old priest pointed out, a very old fort that was designed to hold off aggressors. And so there are certain areas he can take you into. There's certain areas he can't, simply because no one's allowed there. It's a 3-story structure, basically. The abbot's room is here, and he takes you and points out to the abbot's room. We all have the same size space. We all experience life in the same way. Down here are the old towers. There's not much in them, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just old towers. And there's the gate keep, obviously. There's the grounds. We'll tour those tomorrow when it's light. It's safer that way. Yes, what else can I... Oh, well, that's pretty much it for the ground floor. Nothing particularly complicated. Any questions? Oh, yes, the cleaning chamber. Well, that, and this is at the point where you arrive, the satyr is out of the pool now, and actually is nowhere to be seen, to be perfectly honest with you. So yes, it's just the pool. There's young Arix, who is standing. It looks like he's cleaning the pool. He's kind of scrubbing it. He looks up. Oh, hello. As you walk in. This is a cleansing pool. I don't know if you had them back in wherever it is you're from.
Tell me, how do they work here? We had something similar, but maybe a little bit different here. Tell me about it, please.
Arix, you're the expert. Arix looks at him, looks back at you. Arix is looks sort of half elf, half human. Looks at you. Well, it's fairly simple. I mean, it's a cleansing pool, and the water is magically created. And if you wish to participate in the life experience that the temple offers, you submerge yourself in the pool, devoid of all earthly possessions. And when the water runs clear, it means that you have been cleansed of your earthly trappings and are ready to have new experiences. And so that's how it works. Really, it's not particularly complicated. That last fellow was in there for 3 hours. Can you believe it? Sometimes people take quite a long time to get rid of stuff. But anyway, so hopefully he'll live. Yeah. Mm.
Where has he gone now?
Oh, he's gone down into the pits.
The what?
The pits, where the fighting. The Zill goes. No, enough of that. All right. That's how the water's cleansing water. You should try it tomorrow, perhaps. Oh no, not with your cast, I suppose. Raj, dinner.
Yes, dinner, please.
Right. Follow me, he says, and he takes you into this room. This is a sort of a reception administration space. You don't have to worry too much about it. If you stay with us longer, you might one day end up being positioned here. Probably not. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Right, it's up the stairs. Do you think you can manage, or we can get food brought down to you? But physically, you can.
It maybe for now bring it down to me.
Yes.
It may be difficult, but
you notice that the stairs also go down as well, and from down you can hear quite a lot of sort of shouting, and it sounds like bellowing, as a matter of fact, but it's quite faint. Zill apparently cannot hear it at all.
Okay.
Or at least doesn't seem to want to hear it. Right. Well, then I suppose I'll. Do you know how to find your way back to a room? I'll go and get your meal.
Yes, I think I know the way from here. I shall await you in my room. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely fine. I should have thought of bringing you food down anyway. I just wasn't sure when you were going to eat. So he rushes up the stairs, leaving you completely alone in this room. You can hear the slopping sound of the mop as Arix in the pool chamber is busy cleaning whatever grime he can see off of the side of the tank.
Okay.
What you doing?
All right. Do I have any idea of how late at night it is?
Again, you look out one of those little slots. Give me a survival check.
An 18.
18. It is probably 1:32 a.m.
Okay. All right. I'll wait in my room for dinner.
Okay.
And then after dinner, I'm going to see if these guys go to sleep so that I have a little more chance to explore around.
They do indeed. As soon as Zill has dropped off your meal, he basically says, well, I'm down the corridor through the chapel, first door on your, well, only door on your left. I'm in that far end one. If you need anything, just let me know and I'll come and help. I'm just going to go and sleep. Yeah, it's a thing. If you hear anything strange at night, specifically from outside, don't go outside. It's perfectly safe inside. There's lots of predators in the mountains, and they make it quite dangerous if you go on your own and in the dark. You're not particularly. And we're on a cliff face leading down to the beach where we found you. So yes, just if you there's a chamber pot if you need. Don't go in the pool. Oryx hates that.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, good sir. Thank you.
Right, good. And then you are left completely alone.
Okay. After a quick meal,
sure,
I want to go back to those stairs and keeping my crutches with me just to be safe, although of course not relying on them.
Yes.
Try and take a look down the stairs to see what those noises were.
As you look down below, it's difficult to hear. It sounds now like sleeping. Every now and again you can hear some whimpering and sobbing perhaps, but that's about it. It looks also fairly dark down there.
Okay. What about back up the stairs?
Up the stairs, very quiet. Just the occasional grunt or snore, but otherwise that's it.
Okay. All right. That's probably as much as I can move around with my leg still in a cast. And I don't want to remove it by myself. That'll look too suspicious. So probably for this first night, I'm just going to have to go back and rest and see what happens the next day. There's not much else
Right you are.
I can do at the moment.
You head back and settle down for the night. And sleep is not difficult. It's not like you were healthy upon awakening. The following morning, there is an ungodly sound that shatters through any kind of sleep in that you were hoping for. You open your eye a crack. The sun is barely up. And yet there is this just blasting out and echoing around in all different directions. And then a frantic knocking on your door.
Yes, please come in, come in.
Yes, it's me. Good morning. How is your sleeping? Says Zill as he comes rushing in.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Very good.
You're looking so much better. A lot less pale than you were. Well, I mean, it's difficult to tell with all the fur, but yes.
Yes, what is the commotion?
It's a morning wake-up call. So the abbot thought it'd probably be best if I showed you the lay of the land, so to speak, outside of the temple. So I've got us a breakfast. We had the kitchen put it together for you, and yes, we can go now if you're feeling up for a hike.
Well, I must be honest. My leg is feeling better.
Excellent, good to hear it.
I think I could hike better if I removed the cast. But I, of course, await your expert opinion.
Well, let's not be too hasty, but all right. He gets you to lie back and he sort of prods your toes and does the usual medical check. Well, I have to admit, I've never actually worked with tabaxi before, but yesterday it was quite broken, and today it's quite fine. Are you didn't... He looks at you very sternly. Raj, you didn't use... You're a jeweler, right?
Yes. I'm young, and tabaxi do heal very quickly when they're young. It's quite normal.
Give me a deception check. He eyes you. Oh, good God.
That'd be a 23.
That's definitely. Oh, yeah. That's definitely a good roll there. He nods. Well, I'll be damned. I think it's actually quite fine. There's no pain at all. There's nothing.
It is still a little tender, but that's a part of life, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, yes, then it's fine. And he pulls from his side this. It looks like a pencil sharpening knife more than anything else, not a dagger. And he sort of slowly cuts away. Definitely no pain, nothing. It's fine. Well, we talk this one up for live experience. You know, just when you think you've seen everything life's got to show you, it just shows you there's always something to learn. All right, Raj, we've got to get going before they start. So let's go out. We're going to go out. The Abbot's given us special leave to use his entrance, actually, which is quite an honour. He's taken with you, Raj. I'll be honest with you.
Before they start what?
Before Oryx starts his chanting. It's awful. It's between you and me. The young boy really shouldn't be here, but his parents left him. They didn't have a choice. He was apparently uncontrollable in the Temple of Life where he was based in Pythos. Just a lunatic for life. Just so full of it and willing to share it with everyone. But he does this throat singing of his people, so I wouldn't subject a guest to it. And besides, beautiful scenery from the cliffs all around. You will be able to see the complete lay of the land.
I'm gonna attempt an insight check just to
you can do an insight check, and you have advantage because he just rolled a natural 1 on his deception.
Okay, I rolled a 20.
Oh, great. There we go. Yes, he is definitely desperate to get you out of the temple. But you don't think that it's a malicious intent. He's more nervous of you staying than of whatever is outside.
Okay. All right. I'll follow him. I'll keep walking on the crutches just to be safe. But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When you step into the abbot's private entrance, is what Zill called it, you do notice there is another set of stairs that goes down at this point as well. But again, difficult to tell what they lead down to. Zill then takes you outside. He opens the side door with a very large key, and outside you can see it is beautiful, beautiful morning, and this massive I'm using the wrong buttons here, give me a second here. This wonderful vista of pine trees and cedars just reaching up, and then the arms of this mountain range just open up on either side and run for miles in each direction, becoming beautifully pastel blues in the far horizon. And sweeping away below you, you realize that this entire monastery must be built on a very large outcropping of rock that sticks out into the actual ocean itself. And so, aside from coming over the mountains, there is virtually no other way to get here, except for you can see a very small little footpath running down the cliffside down to a very broad, beautiful sandy beach. And on the beach itself, you can see various bits of flotsam and jetsam wreckage that's still remaining after several weeks of being here. But it does look like it's the real dregs of whatever died out at sea in terms of ships. Yes, so it really is idyllic. I mean, if you had a coconut with an umbrella in it, this would be a perfect spot to get away from it all. Give me a perception check, however.
18.
It does look as if, when you look at this map, when you look to the north, there's a little pathway leading away. When you look to the east, it does feel like... Oops, wrong way. Give me a second here. Sorry. It does feel like, to the east of you, along that little footpath which wraps around the side of the temple, it does look like there are about 4 or 5 little campfire trails gently making their way up through the pine trees. Zill looks at you. Well, I will put your leg to the test, I guess. It's a little hike up to the top of the mountain, and from there you can almost see all the way to to Naposti, or actually to Nixie, if you're so inclined. And the lake, Sebos Lake, from here is it makes the refuge of Hyrcaeus look mundane in comparison. It really does. It's well worth it. So shall we get going?
Yes, please lead the way.
Zill starts to lead you up the northward path, and it's not difficult going, especially not with your leg at all. The pathway is fairly old, fairly well maintained. You can see obviously the temple folk have not got a huge amount of things to do, so they keep the paths relatively clear. And for a good 15 or so minutes, you continue to wind your way up this passageway until eventually you can look back down on the entire temple. And below you, you can see that the temple, that very strange shape. Let's just get this idiot out of the way and show you that very strange outline, that pit, if you like, in the very center of this thing. So that's what you're seeing. That's its outline. That big black space is, it definitely looks as if there's a hole that goes down to the floor below it. What happens in there, you're not entirely sure. But from here, you can see that, and then beyond it, you can see the cliff face as well, with the beach and the waves that gently rock and splash against the building. But that's what you're seeing, effectively, is this sort of darkish area. And from here, it looks like there might be figures in the middle of it, but you're so far away, you can't tell what sort of... They look humanoid, and stuff seems to be happening around them, but that's about it. And then Zill sort of brings you back to the conversation.
What were those campfires we saw in the other direction, towards the east?
Campfires, he says, and you can see his lying face try and switch over as he tries to... gypsies, I think that's what they're called. Yes. Gypsies. Pickin' gypsies, that's what they are, pickin' gypsies, yes. Halflings that wander around. Occasionally they come here and trade, and then they go off somewhere else. It's dangerous lot, the Pickens. Very, very dangerous. Stay away from them.
Okay, all right, I will keep that in mind.
Yes, definitely a lie.
Okay, so this has been a beautiful hike.
We're not finished yet. No. Oh no, I have lunch and an early dinner packed in this bag that I'm carrying with me, he says. We've still got a good 10 or 15 miles to go before we get to the view of the lake.
I see. Okay. Then, all right, let's continue.
Right, good. And so you do continue along this pathway, losing sight of this poor temple. And eventually you get to a point where Zill he's completely exhausted. You can see his pack he's carrying must weigh several dozen pounds. And he's like, all right, we'll just stop here for a moment. Take in the sights, why don't you? Take in the sights. Have a look at things. Take in the sights, Raj. Why you came here for jewelry?
Yes, I was going to Portios. My father gave me my first mission to secure a special gem for our business.
Right, good. If you were going to Pythios, how did you end up on a beach at the reach of Hyrcaeus?
Well, our ship, we had to make some unexpected course corrections because of things that we saw in the water, and that thing became the ruin of our ship, which is why we ended up way off course.
And just out of curiosity,
yes,
the course corrections. It wasn't at all because you were tempted by the lure of the light, or a light. Could it be?
The lure of a light? I do not follow your meaning.
Oh, good. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. So you didn't change course because of a light? No.
I'm curious, though, from your beautiful view here on the mountainside, have you seen any strange things in the ocean? What happened to us was very strange indeed, but I do not know if you saw anything from here.
No, not really. Many strange things are out on the coastline. I mean, it's the sea, storms, waves. Obviously, there was commotion when there was a battle happening. There were some strange lights in the sky just before you washed up. But
is this the light that you speak of?
No. It was just a silly thought. There's an old story of a hero being drawn off of his path by the promise of a light, and the rewards that it would grant. And that starts. It's an epic old poem thing. I was just curious.
Oh, very, very interesting. I like to learn about these tales. Oh, please tell me more.
When we get back, I can show you the scriptorium. This is on the first floor, and then I can show it to you if you like. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realize you could read.
Yes, I am quite intelligent, I assure you.
Excellent. That's very good. Give me a dexterity saving throw. He looks at you.
22.
As he looks at you, you are looking obviously at him, I suppose, or out to the great vista beyond, and you are suddenly aware of a movement from above you. And your reflexes get you to move instinctively half a foot to the left. And dropping down from the pine trees above you is this particularly ferocious... It looks like a long-distant ancestor because it's some kind of cat that weighs about 600 or 700 pounds. And it drops right down on top of Zill and starts to maul and thrash at him. He was completely oblivious to this predatorial attack. What are you doing?
I have my staff or my crutch here. I'm going to attack this thing and try and save little Zill.
You indeed will do that when we return next week, as we've come to the end of our time. I hate this. Oh, anyway.
No, this is great. This is perfect for a TV episode. It leaves you on the cliffhanger waiting for the next episode.
There we go. I can't wait to see what happens. Brian, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And chat's been going all over the place. I don't know what chat's been doing. But anyway, it's been a pleasure to spend this hour with you. Thank you, sir, for joining me. And
all right.
Yeah, hopefully, well, we'll see what happens next week. Raj gets to test out his battle chops, which I think could be quite fun. Yeah. Well, how does he feel about killing cats, I wonder?
I don't know if I'm going to kill it.
Oh.
I'm gonna try and knock it away.
I like that. I like that. Well, let's see how that works out for you next week. So there we go. Brian, thank you for joining us. Everybody who's watching, thank you for watching. I do a brief review recap in the next 2 or 3 minutes on this channel. I don't even stop the stream, as a matter of fact. So if you want to hang around for that or ask me questions as to what the hell I was doing in today's session, you're more than welcome to join me for that. If not, we will see you next week when From the Shadows Born continues. Anyway, Brian, thank you so much, sir, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello. If you're still here, it means you're still here and you're not somewhere else, which is great. Okay, this does contain spoilers, folks. This contains spoilers, so if you do not want to know what's going to happen next, so long, farewell, adieu to you and you and you. We will see you anon. We will see you anon next week as the adventures continue. Not a huge amount to discuss today, except that this was exposition and dump day. So, yeah. So there we are. Guy better be getting warm milk and no caffeine. What? Don't be crazy. I'm South African by birth. We drink coffee before we go to bed. I kid you not, actually. That is a South African tradition. If you go to South Africa and you're with a traditional sort of family, or I think pretty much every family in South Africa, what do you do just before bedtime? It's like, oh, it's bedtime. Yeah, all right. Last cup of coffee, and then we all go to bed. I kid you not. But then again, I drink floor scraping coffee. Like I find the cheapest coffee available. That's the coffee for me. So it doesn't really count. Anyway, all right. So let's see. Yes. Okay. So you guys, how is it that there are more people for the after show than there are for the actual show? So if you are new, this is me talking about what I have just done and what I will be doing for next week. Spoilers, you have been warned. I mean, how many times can I can only say spoilers so many times. Okay, confession number one. I didn't finish the map. I'll show you the map. I don't think it's going to work. It might be broken. Hang on a moment. Let me just see if it's broken or not. So this map I've been working in Dungeon Fog on. I got a little bit carried away. How can I show you the map better? Let's do it this way. Here we go. Okay, so this is the map that I've been working on in Dungeon Fog. It definitely took me too far. So it's a 3-level map. There's 3 floors. Let me hide those ground floors to make it clearer. So there's a top floor, which is definitely the scriptorium, and then some cells. And by cells, I mean in the monastic sense. Wait, what? Okay, I'll come to those questions now. There's a kitchen and there's it's utility. However, I did make sure that there are lots and lots of access points. So there is the spiral staircase. You can watch my mouse there. There are the ladders up here, down there. Let me get rid of my Discord chat. So there we go. Lots of different points to enter into this place because I want Raj to go sneaking. He nearly did it, but then there was a bit of a delay. So, which is not his fault. It's absolutely fine. That's the first floor. Then there's ground floor, which we've kind of seen with the cliffs down below and the camp and that sort of thing. And sorry, when I do that, it makes more sense. This central area is what is down below, and what is down below, again, I'm hiding that, is multiple entrance points. So there's that staircase that I spoke about. There are these spiral stairs going down, plus all the ladders in those towers go down as well, because this is information I want him to have and I want him to know. Gargamel Gold, thank you so much for that donation. I really do appreciate it, Gargamel Gold. I want to see a Great GM live animated someday. Oh dear, no, I tried that once. It didn't work out so well. Although I have tangent coming back. There is something I want to try out, Gargamel Gold. So maybe you'll get your wish one day. Anyway, right. So this is the lower side. It is an arena. The gods, the cult of life is all about experiencing life. So people come here to gain experience. They literally come here to fight. And that's what's happening in the lower area. However, it's probably not really legal. I haven't yet decided whether it's legal. It's clandestine. Let's put it that way. Now, when I originally had planned... So this was my confession. So I built this map, and I have been building this map for quite some time, but it's quite big, and it was quite complex in terms of making sure that there were access points and that it was an old converted tower and all that sort of stuff. The story of the reach of Hyrcaeus and who Hyrcaeus was and why it's in the middle of nowhere, I made that up as I needed to. I needed just to make sure that Rudge was very isolated, so he has to kind of stay in this place for a little bit of time. I did not anticipate, and I should have, that he was going to heal himself. I didn't anticipate that. This was meant to be, his leg is broken, he's stuck here. He healed himself. I had no reason to keep him here, okay? I still don't have a reason to keep him here, and if he decides to go off and live on those mountains, he is absolutely welcome to do so. I am not going to force him to stay here. I'm giving him options to stay here. I'm trying to entice him to stay here. But he's welcome to do his own thing. So he healed himself up. Then he wanted to go exploring, and I'm kind of glad that he didn't. I didn't say anything to him, because I haven't finished the fucking map yet. This whole area is still blank. I haven't put the light system in yet. It's still empty. None of the floors have got the lighting in, which I really, really like doing. It just takes a little bit of time to drop in. Probably another hour, and this map will be done. But I ran out of time today. So that's my first confession. I ran out of time, so I was running on an empty map. I knew that I didn't want him to know about the arena straight away. So the idea was, the abbot was like, God, we can't. He can't find out about the arena yet. That's too soon. We got to gently get Raj into place here, because they suspect he's part of the prophecy, which I still haven't written. But they suspect he's part of the prophecy, and so they're going to need to test. That's how it works. So that was Zill's test of, were you taken astray by a light, which he was. He was tempted to go and steal the lighthouse jewel, so he was taken astray by a light, which prevented him from going to his original point of destination. So that is now something I will add into the prophecy. The hero, tempted by light, shone shadow upon his original goal. I don't know. We'll figure out the meaning on that later on. Anyway, it's fine. So the abbot was like, we can't show him the temple, the arena, and we've got this event happening today, because I planted that idiot in the water, in the pool, being cleansed, right? So that was absolutely fine. Let's get him out. Let's get him up onto the mountain range. And again, the reach of Hyrcaeus' story of this philanderer, it was like, okay, well, let's just make sure that he's very isolated and he's outside. So we're creating a bubble of mystery. And all of his insight checks that he passed, it was never malicious intent. It wasn't malicious intent. It was, because they are not trying to kill him. They are hoping that he is their savior. And so that's how I've kind of structured it, to try and do that. So yeah, it was just testing and tempting. Ben Nicholson, you get 300 experience points straight away, because there are 4 lights. If we then go, let me just go to back here. There we go. Let me go back here. So if we then go to the actual plan of the adventure, which I have here, the plan of the adventure was get onto the boat with pirates, done. Escape the harbour, done. Talk to the pirates, done. Ship attacked, done. Washed up onto shore and meet strange priest from the cult of life near the refuge of Hyrcaeus, done. I then added in this note, Pickin gypsies and that's halflings. It's a lie. Well, it was a lie of Zill's to dismiss what it is. What is it? It's a bunch of warriors who are all camped outside of the temple who want to go and experience temple life and fight monsters and gain experience points. Basically, that's why they're here. But because the abbot and Zill don't want young Raj to leave, he's going to say, well, it's picking gypsies and leave them alone. I don't know what the hell picking gypsies are. They're just a bunch of halfling gypsies that have been now made to sound like they're evil. Because stereotypes, yo. So if Raj goes into that forest, he will find this camp of warriors, and they will happily provide him with an exit to get off of this cliff face thing, so that he can then go on his own adventures. Because again, I'm not forcing him to stay here. I'll give him his story one way or another. I mean, I'll get the story out, whatever the story ends up being. But I will trigger events and things to get it on its way. So I've made a little note there, right, picking gypsies and off we go. For those of you in the audience who are not necessarily as fast as the rest of you, all of the NPC names, by the way, were drawn from names within the chat. So I don't know who Pickin was named after. I'm not saying anything. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. I've been going, I need some NPC names. Right, let's go there, and so we'll use that name. Let's go there, we'll use that name. Let's go there, we'll use that name. And then I just do my vowel swaps, and off we go. So picking gypsies. Right, so the next part, so this was the social part, and I wasn't too worried that it was a slow episode. It was an hour long of him learning about his new home base. And I was just planting as many different seeds for him as possible to choose from and to go from and that sort of thing. That I didn't mind that it took an hour for him to sort of get going. Okay. Now, let's see. I'll come to questions shortly. The next one is to him to get sold into slavery or to be added to the monsters, to the heroes, to be fought. I'm going to take this out, this verbal battle. Nah, I don't need it. I think there is more of a mystery here for him to solve than the combat is just, nah. It's irrelevant at this point. I don't need it. I don't need it. I think the pacing is absolutely fine. And that's why these templates, when I kind of refine them and I redesign them, and to me, this is great because I can look at it and say, well, that social encounter, I don't think it was too slow. So the next episode, it doesn't have to have a fight. It's starting with a fight because I knew there was a cliffhanger coming. So there we go. I knew the time was going to end. One of my rules is you always have a clock that you can see. So I dropped the animal on him to give us a little bit of combat, but also to actually spice things up a little bit. Let's be perfectly honest. And to warn young Raj that these mountains are dangerous. So he can't just sneak out on his own. He will have to find a group to go out with, i.e. he needs to get some NPCs around him to help him do that. So there we go. Becoming trained in the cult ways. That's what has been hinted at. Will he pick up on that or not? Not sure. The whole thief thing. I put it in there because I wanted there to be a sense of trouble, a sense of danger. That could still be the play. It could still be the play. It depends on what he does. It could also very easily be Raj participates in the arena. It could be that too. Or so it doesn't matter. And I don't know if this comes across in my videos often enough. These plans, they really are just guidelines, so we can look at it and go, yeah, okay, all right, there we go. That's the plan. Are we on track? Are we not on track? Let's revisit. Brian doesn't know these plans. All I know is at the end of it, he has to have the gratitude of the life cult. And as far as the master plot is concerned, washed ashore, saved by the life cult, someone is blah, blah, blah. We don't care about that. We just need him to have ingratiated himself with the life cult. That's all. So, yeah, it's easy. It's simple. We'll figure that out once we get there, because then we need the death cult to reach out to him later on. When is this going to happen? Once he's left the life cult. So we're fine. We're absolutely fine on that journey. So yes, so that's where we are. I thought the session went really well. I think Brian did a great job. What I did like was that he didn't push his luck. He didn't go, okay, cool. Right, I'm going to go downstairs and investigate all that strange noises, or I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to steal everything. He played it cool, and then when it came to his leg cast being removed, I think he did a great job on that as well. So yeah, I think it worked out really well. Inky design, I think you've just lost 500 experience points for that sentence, by the way. The lesser spotted cliffhanger. I think we could all see this one coming. Anyway, I'm being mean. Right, so some questions. There was a question, how long is this going to last for? We're going to do it until half an hour, until half past the hour, I think, unless there are no questions, in which case then, as they say in Japanese, kanryo, we are done. So yes, that's where we'd end up. I don't know why it's not letting me close this bloody thing. All right, so questions. Let's go back and look for some questions. I'm literally just looking for the word question to see if it pops out. Golem, rule number 1, there is no Fight Club arena. Blah, blah, blah. Spoken like a true GM, which I haven't written yet. That's true. I really haven't. I've been so busy this week trying to get videos prepared. And I got wrapped up in doing the map. Captain Prices just says questions. No, you'll have to re-ask your questions. I can't find them. Captain Prices says, how long will this after show last? So 13 more minutes. I'm still looking for questions. There's no questions. Desmona says, could you do YouTube mini guide on one-on-one sessions and games? I have done a few, actually. Although by mini guide, do you mean doing the new version of the old guide? Because I think the old guide is like 20 or 30 minutes. So it is there. It was one of the first ones that I did, actually, way back when. Awful video. Not in terms of content, in terms of quality. It was really in the early days. I look back at those early videos and I'm like, how on earth did anyone watch what I was doing? They god awful. Anyway, so yes, there is one running one-on-one games and then running games for more than 6 people, I think. So I will be redoing it in the new format, which is the shorter, sharper format at some point. When, I don't know. Captain Prices says, is it from the Shadow Bron or from the Shadow Born? And how did you come up with the name, since I can't see any connection between Raj's birth and upbringing and the future of the campaign, nor his current situation? Okay, so it is from the Shadow Born. Let me just double check that. From the Shadow Born. It is from the Shadow Born. Anything else is a typo or my dysgraphia, so there we go. You can't see a connection between Roger's birth and upbringing and the future of the campaign. That, my young Captain Priceless, is exactly right. You can't see a connection, and I can't either, because I haven't looked for it yet, but I will. And off the top of my head, the very first thing that comes to mind is, we know, I'm gonna exit dungeon. Save. We know that Raj comes from, I'm just looking for the map. Here we go. We know that Raj comes from the kingdom of Vashti, which is on this map down here. When we scroll down, Vashti is here, but he comes from Karkun, the city of Karkun. You see there, under Dadarix. There is nothing stopping us from simply saying that Dadarix is known as the Shadowlands, or that Karkun means in the shadow of the River Kun, or that Gulbahar is the old Shadow King's seat. we could tie it back in any shape or form we like to these beginning areas without an issue. Without an issue whatsoever. So that's off the top of my head. We could do that. So I don't panic about this kind of stuff. You know, it was very, very interesting. I think it's interesting. I don't know if this is oversharing or not, but hey, who cares? It's life, and I love you all. So I was chatting with Janet from World Anvil, and we're putting together the masterclass. In case you missed that, that's the Circle of World Builders masterclass, right? And we were putting together the program, right? Which, if you signed up for the newsletter, you'll get the program probably by the end of the week. And we were talking about, okay, well, how do you world build? How does this work? How does that work? How does this work? And it was so interesting to see how Janet and Demetrius from World Anvil came with their approach to world building. They're like, how can you do it your way? It doesn't make sense. Well, how do you know this? How do you know this? How do you know that? And I'm looking at their system going, I don't know. I don't know how you do it. That's what I love about it. I absolutely love about it. Is you can come from either direction, or any direction for that matter. Whatever system works for you and removes the strain and stress from you is the best way to go with, as far as I'm concerned. That is the best way to go. Okay, so next question. AK Writer says, how many sessions have you planned with Brian, and what are your plans for after this campaign? Did I just close the PDF? I did. So it really depends, to a large degree, it depends on Brian. If his character dies, that's it. The campaign is over. If he gets bored, that's it. The campaign is over. If he sticks through it and is willing to continue waking up, I think he wakes up at 2 a.m. in Hong Kong. I don't know what the time in Hong Kong now is, but it's an awful hour. If he continues to do that, then we will run arguably for 27 to 32 more sessions easily. I mean, the main plot points, those are 15 plot points, and we are theoretically, we're on session 1 of those 15. So there's 15 of those. If I do 1 extra for him just for his own missions, that's another 15, so that's 30. And then if we want to explore more backstory stuff, that could be 45. So the sky's the limit in this particular case. There's no, oh, we're going to do 12 episodes. This was me, you know, and this was me saying, I want to run a game. And I have a Friday game with 4 wonderful players. We've done 2 session zeros, and we can't get to the first episode. We can't get to recording the first episode because life keeps kicking us in the guts, saying, no, this person can't make it this week. No, that person can't make it that week. So this is role playing that I want to do, and yeah, it is what it is. After that, who knows? I like one-on-ones. I really do. So there we are. Gargamel Gold says, how would you adapt someone else's setting to one of your games if it's not an official D&D setting? That could be an interesting how to create GM video. I have done it twice. I've done Saltmarsh and I've done Avernus. So yeah, I'll add it to the list, Gargamel Gold. I will add it to the list. Thank you for that. And if I don't add it to the list now, he tells himself, I will freaking forget about it. Padding an adventure is one of them, and then adapting a preset world to your own style. Okay, cool. That's lovely. I will do that. Dracovale says, it's not about the game, but can you give us a synopsis of your book that you write? Okay, Dracovale is referring to the fact that on Twitter yesterday I said I wanted to write a book, but I was nervous to start. But I did start because just so many people responded saying, no, just do it, just get going. And that's my big argument about not becoming a GM, is just start GMing, just do it. Now, I've written screenplays, I've written TV shows and spec scripts for movies and things in South Africa. So writing a script is not a challenge. Well, it's always a challenge, but it's not something that I haven't done before. So there isn't that initial step. A novel, however, is, and I was worried, it's so daunting, it's this and that, the next thing. Anyway, so I have started writing it, and I am an exploratory writer. I'm an exploratory writer, as they all love to say. What that basically means is I know how it ends, and now I'm starting to write it to see where we're going to get to. I'm also in the firm belief, and this is basic script writing 101, I cannot make sure that what I'm writing is correct until I have written it. So I will write this whole thing out. It will be done I'm on day 3 tomorrow of 9 days. So by tomorrow I'm a third of the way in, which will put me on 30 pages, give or take. Again, I'm using script writing as my basis because that's what I know. So yeah, I by tomorrow I will have got to the point where it's a point of no return. So the characters will now have made their life choices and will now be moving forward. The general crux of the story is it is my Braxia setting, and if you're unfamiliar with that, the Braxia setting, the dragons were in control. My dragons, I don't like stupid dragons like 5th edition dragons. I like powerful ancient dragons. My dragons were in control of the world, and all of the races were slave races, and they got together and they overthrew the dragons. That was the campaign that I played that you can watch on this channel, called Adventures of the Windswift. Was the 300 years after that event had happened, the players were in that campaign setting. This is what led to the dragons taking control in the first place. So it's not going to end in a happy way. It really isn't going to end in a happy way. But effectively, it is the beginning of the dragon rule of Braxia. So it's going to be interesting. The book ends with the heroes in a place where it's kind of like in Star Wars A New Hope. It ends where possibly it will carry on or not. I don't know. For me, the most painful part of writing a novel is the typing and the getting of the words out onto the page. That I hate that. It's so boring. You sit there just because you're just spewing out the vision in your head, but it's that actual physical process. And then spelling. You guys know how I suck at spelling. So it's like you're writing stuff and your page just goes red and you're like, oh my God, I know what I meant. And if you don't actually look at the letters, you look at the word, you can see what I... Anyway, let's not go there. Okay, right. Catherine Bischoff says, is it Fight Club or Mortal Kombat? So what this is going back to this temple, the life people. It is Fight Club. You're not meant to die. You are meant to fight and get experience. The life cult is all about experiencing life. So living life to the fullest, fighting the tiger in the arena, hopefully winning or losing, but surviving to know that I have lost and so I can come back. So yeah, that's definitely what that is about. Grizzle says, I have catalogued all the names I threw out during the stream. Would you like me to submit them on Discord? Yeah, go ahead, Grizzles. Put them into Discord. I cannot say whether I will use them or not. Like I said, I just pull names from wherever I need them. If you've got a list, that's super cool. I might even just take a name that's on your list and swap the vowels around, as you know I do, and use that. So I mean, it's definitely a help to have a list of names, and I have lists of names, and I know my adventure templates say have lists of names. I'm not convinced that I'm not particularly convinced that they help me in terms of speeding the game along. They might. I mustn't assume that, but so put them in. I'd love them to be there. Okay. Captain Price is telling me to sod off, so I will get to closing this off. Stamster says the adventure template is always for PCs or based on the Nemesis. Stamster, so there are 2 adventure templates now that are available. You can go to our website, www.greatgamemaster.com, and you'll find, I think it's called In the Great Library, the GM's Bag of Holding, I think it's called. They're all of our templates in this. So there's the older templates from the Complete Guide to Epic Campaigns, which is from the Nemesis perspective. And then there is also the new 5-step template, which is actually 10 steps, if you like. And That one is from either perspective. It's more about helping you in terms of pacing. So in terms of actually plotting out how long each piece should take, how long each piece should run for. So there you are. Go and have a look at that. Next question. Please tell me that the arena is called the Pit of Carcoon. You know, I knew when I wrote that name in there, I was like, Carcoon, where have I heard that before? It is spelt differently. But yes, the Pit of Carcoon would be very, very amusing. Frederick Schmidt says, will our beloved sorcerer level up? Yes, absolutely. After this particular combat with the creature, I think it's fair for him to level up. I think he's kind of done a little bit. We can have he has mentioned he wants to go to the scriptorium and do some reading. So I think that's a perfect opportunity for him to level up in. And I am still behind on these questions. I'm 7 minutes behind on the questions, so I'm going to overrun a little bit. I apologize as I catch up in time. So I'm still at 24 minutes past the hour, so when I get to 30 minutes then I'll stop. So Cobalt says, how many worlds have you built? How often do you usually spend on them? I.e., do you mostly come up with things as needed for the campaign, or do you build the worlds beforehand? So Cobalt, and this is where there's lots of disagreement. Excuse me. Generally speaking, I will have an idea. I'll go, oh, that would be cool if there could be a this, or if there could be a that, as a battle or a fight sequence or something along those lines. So there's that option. Or I draw a map. And in the case of this one, in the case of the world of Gyr, Gyr, and Utherios, I drew this map first. I was like, oh, okay, let's draw a map. I need a map. And I was doing this in Wonder Draft. I was just sort of playing around and checking it out and dropping in some names because I wanted to make a map where I had all the cultures that I really like in there. So I like Utherios. I like the Greek and Roman sort of space. So there's Utherios here, and then there's Latarii, which is on this side, which is more of the Roman style thing. There's a Senate and that sort of thing. And then we have some awful Chinese stuff there. And I say awful because I don't know the Chinese culture as much as I had hoped to. Then we've got Vashti and the sort of the Indian subcontinent, if you like. Then sort of Iran, Iraq, and then leading into sort of the Viking areas. Then we've got Japanese influence happening with the elves down here, and more Viking stuff, and then Native American Indian stuff, and then in the country of Won't, we have the traditional English stuff, and then more Celtic sort of stuff as we go. So I really, it's like I just want a world map that's got all the cultures in it that I like. So that's where I made this map. And then thankfully when we started playing, I was like, hey, this would be a perfect setting to drop this in here. So that's where I came. How many worlds I built? I've lost track. I mean, I've been gaming for what now? Nearly 30 years. So it's a long time. It's a lot of worlds. I have made far more worlds and settings than I have played pre-made. And the closest I've come to playing in pre-made was actually Ghosts of Saltmarsh and the Descent into Avernus and Curse of Strahd very briefly. And that was in the last sort of 5 years. But that's it. If you ask me about Greyhawk or whatever the current ones are, I couldn't tell you. I don't know them. I have too much fun making up my own world. So there we go. Inky Design says I'm pre-ordering the book right away. Oh, Inky Design, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. I think this is the biggest fear is that you write a book and it's got stuff in it that you want. And what makes it weird is that with script writing, one of the tricks of script writing with dialogue is it's often difficult to make dialogue sound like it's coming from different people because you speak the way you speak. And so when you write dialogue, you write dialogue generally in the way that you speak. So a trick is that when you write your first draft, all of the characters in that draft are your friends in real life. You literally, if instead of Luke Skywalker, you might write Barry, because you have a friend named Barry who's bit of a whiner and a bit of a dreamer and wishes they could change their life but doesn't do anything about it. So you'd have Barry going everywhere, and then you would go back and replace Barry with Luke in draft 2, but you've written dialogue based on Barry in your head, so you're watching your friend speak the dialogue, and you can, oh yeah, he doesn't use proper English. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing with this book. So it's like, these are all my friends' names. I wonder how they would feel if they read the book and they realised that I was actually just pulling bits. Anyway, it is what it is, and we'll get there. What is your preferred player level, says Captain Prices? My preferred player level is, to be absolutely honest with you, probably somewhere around levels, and this is in D&D terms, levels 3 to 6 or 7. Somewhere around there. They've got some powers, but they don't have pages and pages and pages and pages of powers and abilities and that sort of thing. Because as fun as those are, I have never seen them making the game more entertaining. I have just seen them as, oh yeah, my character can do all these powers, but I don't use 90% of them. I only use these 6 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them. So anyway, there we go. And then this is it. So no more questions, folks. No more, I'm just going to answer what's on the screen at the moment. So AK says, when GMing in real life, do you use Dungeon Fog maps too, or what do you use then? I will be absolutely honest with you. This is the honest truth. When I was younger, as in when I started first GMing, everything was a hand-drawn map. Well, I mean, when I first started GMing, computers could barely, I mean, you used Internet Explorer because there wasn't anything else. Mind blown, right? Anyway, so I had hand-drawn maps, but I only drew about 10 or 15 maps actually on graph paper, and then I would just recycle those maps when I was running. Once I got to university, I stopped using maps altogether, except for world maps. Dungeon maps and stuff, I had by that stage a battle map, and I think it was a Chessex battle map or Essex battle map, which you could just draw on, and then I would draw my maps as I went. It was always improv, and that lasted probably until about 4 years ago. About 4 years ago, when I released a video saying how much I hated online role-playing. Because it was such a barrier to me at that stage. I didn't understand it. Anyway, so good night, Frederick Schmidt. Guten Abend, I would imagine. I'm not sure. I forget where you're from. Anyway, and then once I started playing online, the maps became far more required as a play tool. And then I found Dungeon Fog, which really, I mean, folks, and yes, they are sponsors of the channel. That is irrelevant. I would still use them because from a battle map perspective, I've used the others. They're not as intuitive. And when I discovered that I can use it as an online virtual tool as well, and just let my role players play dice rather than using something like Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or any of the other VTTs, well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant because I can drop in assets as I need to. So, oh, you have a crate in your room with all your gear in it. Click, click, there's your crate. And it's still a process. I mean, it's still alpha or beta level type stuff. So anyway, I mean, I now, let me tell you, now I play in the game on Monday nights with people here, and we don't have battle maps. And I'm like, I remember this. I remember, but I have no memory of this place. You know, and it's like, I wish I had a battle map so I could see what's going on. It's lazy, but at the same time, I know the power that it brings in terms of just enhancing. So it's like, well, anyway, sorry, long answer because it is, and there we are. And people are leaving because it's bedtime everywhere in the world, including here. So thank you all for staying with me and for asking these fantastic questions. Yeah, and we'll see you again the next stream of note if you are paying attention. Saturday night, which is Hello World I'm back. Demetrius is joining me, so we'll get some more insight into that. And then we've got live sessions with the gym on Sunday, which is more of your questions being answered. But yes, we are heading towards Circle of World Builders. If you don't know what Circle of World Builders is, http:// lower colon upper colon small intestine circleofworldbuilders.com. Sign up for it if you can make it, and we'll see you there. Anyway, until then, good night, goodbye, thank you for watching, have a good one, cheerio.